Hello everybody, today I'm here with my May wrap up and June TBR. So again, May didn't really go amazingly because again, busy with work to the point that when I come home I'm too tired because I have to get up most days for 6 o'clock, so be at work for 6 o'clock. Luckily I live close enough that I can just walk to it, but still it just messes up with my head too much to the point because I'm not a morning person, so I just never have the energy in the evening at all for anything. So the result of that is that I managed to only finish 3 books in the month of May and made some progress in another 2, which I'm going to mention at the end of this first section. So I'm going to briefly mention the thoughts because I don't want this video to be forever, and I also don't want them to be separate videos. So let's go. So the very first book that I finished was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, and that was, like I've explained before, was for the event that was happening in Bath. It was a walking tour because Mary Shelley mostly wrote this book when she was in Bath, which was fascinating to be in the places, well, seeing the places that she wrote the book in. It kind of brought a different experience. But the book itself, it's obviously a classic. It was written 1818, I believe. Yeah, 1818. I'm gonna hold it here. So yeah, this book was written 1818, and I think everybody knows what this one is about. So we've got Victor Frankenstein, who created a monster out of dead body parts. That's essentially pretty much the description of the book. The concept sounds great, right? It sounds like it could be an amazing story, but I really don't think it is, at least in my opinion. I didn't care for it. I found it dreadful in a way that it took me forever to read such a small book. I know it's a classic, but I do enjoy classics on occasion. Depending on the classics, there are a few books that I really enjoy. There are classics like Jane Eyre, Sherlock Holmes. I've not read them in English though, that might be something to try in the future, but still, this one was just dreadful. Like the plot, I didn't particularly like the plot. I see why the book would be popular because the idea is great. You can do a lot of things with it, and I haven't actually seen a lot of adaptations, for film adaptations with it, so maybe that's why I'm also not familiar with much. But the book, I just didn't like it at all. I would have DNF'd it, but I felt like I needed to carry on just in case it would get better, and also the fact that we were going to see the places, so I felt like I needed to finish it to fulfill the whole experience. But it was a waste of time, if I'm honest. I didn't like the writing style particularly. It was dreadful. It was too many descriptions of things that are completely unnecessary. It also starts with letters of the narrator of the book, who doesn't even have anything to do with the story. He just witnessed the guy who was there, and that's the guy's story, but it starts with the other person who, like I said, haven't got anything to do with the story at all, which is a bit weird. So yeah, we've got 3 full letters of describing things that literally have nothing to do with the story. And throughout the whole book it kept going like that, as in there would be different descriptions of things that I did not care about, because for such a small book I'd rather concentrate on the more important parts rather than just carry on rambling about different things that really don't matter. So I was not a fan of this book at all. Also, this book is really depressing. There's literally not a single good moment in this book. The atmosphere is not exactly even creepy, it's just more like dreadful, dark, but not in like dark in a good way. It's literally just depressing. That's what I felt like reading throughout the book. I did not want to read anything at all. I didn't want to particularly do anything because it didn't put me in a great mood. So just depressing book. If you call that one a gothic novel, I also read another gothic novel, which is Roblot by Katrina Ward. This one was my first book from Mr. B's Emporium subscription. I've actually been to the shop now. I love the shop, it's great. But the book, like I said, is a gothic novel. It's also like a historical fiction gothic novel. So it is set, I can't remember the time. actually jumps in time, so it's different timelines. Sometimes it's early 19th century, sometimes it's early 20th century, so it really depends because it kind of follows generations of this Valarca family who is supposed to be cursed. They're supposedly, this Valarca family, they are cursed, so that's why they have to stay in this manor or house, Roblot. But there's also rumours about a white-faced woman who haunts them. That's the description of the book. And I thought it was going to be terrifying. I thought I would be scared because it sounds terrifying to me. But I wasn't scared throughout the book at all. Maybe if I was reading it at night by myself, it would have been different. But I mostly read it during the day as it just happened like that. But I didn't find it scary at all. The atmosphere again was kind of depressing, so those two books were kind of on the same vibe for me, which didn't do me any good. Maybe that's why I also didn't read that many books in May, because I was just reading the books that I wasn't particularly enjoying, unfortunately. So this one also, what annoyed me, especially towards the end of the book, the second half, they kept changing perspectives. And on a few occasions I found that the perspective that the author chose to talk about, I sometimes would be completely confused of who that is, why it's there, what's it got to do with the story. It has happened a couple of times, and it jumps backwards in time for Iris is our main character, who I thought we were going to follow them mainly, but we follow her from time to time, and a lot of the time it just jumps back to her parents separately before they got married, and then other characters as well. So I found it a bit of like jarring, to be honest, because it wasn't like a consistent plot, which I found quite, again, disconnected from the story a lot of the times. And the white-faced ghost thing I thought would be the most like amazing thing of the book. Didn't find that amazing. The plot twist, I guess, at the end was kind of interesting. I found that interesting. I didn't see that coming at all. But throughout the whole book, no, I did see that coming towards the end. I thought, is that what it is? And it was. But yeah, not the biggest fan of this one, unfortunately. Then to brighten my mood, I decided to pick up something that I was actually in the mood for all of a sudden, and that is The Ghost of Thomas Kemp by Penelope Lively. This is a middle grade, kind of like a ghost story, obviously. It was written in 1970s. I really enjoyed this book. I really liked the atmosphere. It wasn't really that creepy. It was mostly, I'm going to read you the blurb. Bottles have been smashed, doors slammed, and strange messages scrawled everywhere, and James is being blamed. It's not fair. Why won't his parents believe in ghosts? Because the ghost of Thomas Kemp is very real, and he's got it in for James. So it was even funny in places. I kind of thought going into it was going to be like a creepy middle grade. It kind of was in places, but it also was really funny. So really enjoyed this book. I had a really good time with it. And also the main character, James, he was such a lovely boy. I really loved his imagination. So he had his trait of his in which he would be doing something, and then all of a sudden he started to imagine that he's somewhere else. Like, so let's say he's in the room and he's pretending that he's, I don't know, some kind of imaginative thing that he's doing with somebody who, again, he's imagined. And I found that quite amusing. He found these sort of games for himself to occupy himself. I really liked him as a main character. He was a fascinating child. So I had a really good time with this one, and I really enjoyed it. Then, like I said, there were two books that I have made some progress in. One of them being Truthwitch by Susan Dennard. At first I thought I was going to DNF it, then I started it again. Well, didn't start it again, it just rather continued. There's just something about it that is not gripping me at all. I don't know what it is. Is it because it's YA? Is it because the main character is slightly annoying me? I've no idea why, because the second time I picked it up I thought, oh, I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm liking it a lot. When did I DNF for the first time? And then same thing happened again, and I'm only on page 204. So I'm not giving up on it completely, because I have read reviews and I think I might enjoy this book, but it's just something about it that I just never want to pick it back up and then get bored of reading it. I'm hoping that I can finish it in June. So this one is definitely on my June TBR, hopefully, which at the moment is looking massive. There's no chance I'm going to read all of those books, but I'm going to try anyway. And then the second one is The Switch by Beth O'Leary. I'm on page 84 at the moment. And this one is the book club book. Again, the live show is today, that I'm filming it on a Sunday. And I'm not going to be able to finish it by Sunday. I thought I was gonna, because I started this book at the beginning of the week and thought, oh, I've got a whole week to finish it. And no. Like I said, my job is just taking a lot of my energy and a lot of my time, to the point that I just can't be reading anything. So unfortunately, again, I won't be able to attend a live show. But the book is kind of cute. So in this one we follow two main characters. One is a young lady and the other one is an older lady, her grandmother, and they switch places. One lives in London, the younger one, and the older lady lives in a village. I'm loving the perspective of an older lady. She is amazing. She's fascinating. I like her point of view on the world. And there's one line that I specifically even put a little post-it note on it. Letitia might be the most interesting woman I've ever met. How many more fascinating people are pocketed away in these little flats around the city, I wonder. So this quote did make me think, how many people are there around me? Because I'm not the kind of person who knows many people in this country. I only know people from work and people from my husband's side in this country. So I wouldn't mind getting to know other people as well. So this one did make me think, oh, well, sometimes there could be fascinating people that you just don't see, because you don't really spend time with them, you don't get the chance to, or something. So it did make me think of that. So yeah, I'm enjoying the perspective of the older lady, but the younger one, she gets on my nerves for some reason. I think that's why also I kind of not as far into the book as I would like to be, because her point of view is kind of really annoying me. She's this obsessed with work, and I don't know, it's just something about her that I don't like her. But I'm going to give it a go, because at the moment I do find it cute. So hopefully I can finish both of these in June. So now we're moving slowly into my June TBR. And I'm going to carry on with the books that I'm currently reading, or rather started a few months ago and never came back to them. One of them, again, I am so sorry that I keep just mentioning the book, but it is The Prairie of the Orange Tree. Still have not read a single page after I put it down for a bit. Still have a hell of a lot left, but I'm hoping, again, I'm so hoping that I can read it in June, or at least make some progress, at least pick it back up and read it, so that it's not just sat there by itself. Because I do think when I was reading this one, it felt like pure escapism, which I think I do need now with my job, because it's taking so much of my energy, so much of my time, that something like this would actually be ideal to just take my mind off of it. So I do have high hopes for this one, that it will take me somewhere else. And then we've got another one that I started a while ago, was Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. This is like a historical fiction detective almost novel. I'm not that far in at all. I'm on page 70. I was enjoying it. There was something about the writing style, I think, that kind of put me off for a little bit. But I would like to carry on reading this one, because it has been on my TBR for the longest time, and by June I'd like all of those current reads to be finally read, so that's what I'm hoping for. Then there's like a non-fiction thing, which is How to Start a Conversation and Make Friends. I did mention how I don't know many people, so I thought it started to bug me a lot more, so that's one of the books that I decided to give a go. And I'm not far in at all. I'm on page 34, but again, I would like to get this one finished, because it's not really that difficult to read, and I find it quite interesting and fascinating, and also helpful. So hopefully, yeah. And there's another one that is just on my e-reader, that is a reread of a fantasy book series that I think I've mentioned many times on my channel before. It's like a parody of Harry Potter, and I've stopped in book 3, I think. I'm like halfway through or somewhere like that. So I'd like to get that one done as well, because I was enjoying it. Again, it's pure escapism. Now, the 3 books that ideally I'd like to get to in June as well, but don't know whether I'm going to be able to. One of them I have already mentioned. I took a whole video on the author, but the book is Circus of Wonders by Elizabeth McNeill. I'm so looking forward to this one. This one is a historical fiction set in 1866. We follow the main character, whose skin is speckled with birthmarks all over, and one day she's sold to the circus. As her fame grows and her friendship with Toby, who is the owner's son, grows as well, she thinks that this must be the best thing that's ever happened to her. But who gets to tell Nell's story? What happens when her fame threatens to eclipse that of the showman who bought her? And as she falls in love with Toby, can he detach himself from his past and the terrible secret that binds him to his brother? I'm really looking forward to this one. I would like to get to this one sooner rather than later, so I might actually start it before I finish any of the other books, because I've met the author now, and so I'm super excited for the book, so I don't particularly want to wait for too long to get to it. And there's also another non-fiction, and that one is Chariots of the Gods by Eric von Daniken. This one is just sparked by a conversation I've had with somebody in real life about different things, different theories in physics in terms of like space. So that got super excited, and I believe this one touches the theme as was God an astronaut. I'm not a religious person. I'm not like, yeah, but the theory that, you know, God could be an astronaut, just the person who came from space, is a theory that I think is worth investigating. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm really into non-fiction lately, much more than I used to be. So this one just seems like a nice one to get into, and it's not even that long. So I would definitely like to read this one in June, and I think I will get to it because I'm just so curious about it. So there we go. I'm genuinely just interested in space, non-fiction, different theories in physics, like, I don't know, even parallel universes and all that. We can't prove it, so it's fascinating to me because it could be a possibility. Like black holes, they were a theory, just a physics theory, and people were laughed at for thinking that, but now they're proven and they do exist. So who knows what else we can discover in the future. That's just, to me, sounds fascinating. The last one that I would like to get to, hopefully, is Viper, the Isles of Storm and Sorrow by Bex Hogan. This one was one of the Fairy books that I've had for a long time now, and the reason why I want to read this specific one is because when I was playing my TBR games way before, Husband Pick came up and he picked this one. I've not read it yet, which I feel kind of bad about, so I feel like I should read this one, and I'm hoping that I will be able to get to this one. It sounds actually quite interesting. So, he will make me a killer, or he will have me killed. That is my destiny. 17-year-old Marianne is fated to one day become the Viper, defender of the 12 Isles. But the reigning Viper stands in her way. Corrupt and merciless, he prowls the seas in his warship, killing with impunity, leaving only pain and suffering in his wake. He's the most dangerous man on the ocean, and he's Marianne's father. She was born to protect the islands, but can she fight for them if it means losing her family, her home, the boy she loves, and perhaps even her life? So it does sound good, and I do hope I will be able to get to this one. So yeah, that is my tiny May wrap up and my ambitious June TBR, but I do hope June somehow is going to be a better month, and I'm going to try and not let work mess up with my head too much. I'm going to try and read a lot in June, but we'll see how it goes. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye!